We've got 1 follower.
Hey! Who's that? Can
6.
you see who it is? Is it
Yeah,
Audrey?
we can.
Is
Lucky
it Mom?
Nuts. No, Lucky Nuts.
I hope that's Andrea.
Yeah, right.
Lucky Nuts. Lucky Nuts,
And then-
you're the best. We love you.
And then,
We should
so these
send them a
these
t-shirt. Lucky Nuts.
yeah, the Get Rich t-shirt. We
Yeah.
are sending it to.
I gotta see how my GameStop stock is doing real quick.
Today was not such a.
No, I knew it would not be. I only bought a quarter of a share, so.
Oh, okay. Cody texted me from school yesterday. I was like, Dad, we got to get on GameStop. So we did. And then a few minutes later, he's like, Dad, it's crashing. We got to get out. So we did. So lost 8% of my money in about 20 minutes. So
Wow. Yeah.
and it never recovered back.
Yeah. My investment of what did I spend? Like $12.
Only invest what you can stand to lose, huh?
Well, I could only buy it on Robinhood because on my other apps, it was like, oh, there's a halt on GameStop, whatever, because they did a bunch of halts, which I think is
right.
Messed up. But I don't really see why we should have that be a thing.
This is what I wanted to show you on Podbean. Check this out. 9 downloads of our 5 episodes. What? This was 8 just yesterday, so woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah.
And where are they coming from? I don't know why this doesn't add up to 9, but 4 from United States and 1 from Rwanda.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if that's Spicy Nuts. What was his name?
Lucky Nuts. Our 1 follower on TikTok, but more to come.
Yeah, he's my favorite person, I've decided.
In the whole world?
In the whole world. In the whole world.
We've had as many as 2 daily listeners.
Hey.
And then
I
episodes.
wonder if Dad is Lucky Nuts. That'd be funny.
That'd be real funny.
How do you think Homeboy and Rwanda came across our podcast?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he's one of the 200 people on TikTok. I don't know. Or you just...
Yeah. Can you make the media board small?
Oh, I make it small after I play the intro. So.
Oh, got you. All right.
Let's play the intro.
Let's play it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Robert and Kalyn Get Rich, your podcast about money and life from 2 people who have no idea how to succeed at either dimension. We talk about whatever we feel like talking about, sort of centered on money and investing. And we also just like dancing to energetic hip-hop music. We have 9 downloads and 1 follower on TikTok.
That's
and
right.
1... subscriber on one of the platforms. Lucky Nuts, we love you.
Yeah,
we're gonna get that on a t-shirt.
Our Rwandan fan, I want to send you a t-shirt as well, since you found
Absolutely.
us from so far away.
Look, if either one of you email us at robertandkalengetrich@gmail.com and can verify you're the person we are talking about,
I will design a t-shirt at that moment and I will ship it to you.
And it'll probably have her picture on it. So
that's right.
Today is May 15th, 2020. We must say, as always, our disclaimer that this is not investing advice. You'd be very wise to do the opposite of whatever we invest in. However, I do have to say, I'm going to share my screen here and let's take our look, as we always do every episode, at the Robert and Kalyn Get Rich portfolio. We make an investment at the end of every episode, and this is episode 6, but we have 4 positions. As a whole, our total gain is up 3%.
Yes!
And that's down from yesterday, which we were down today 1.3%.
We were down
Reddit.
today?
We were down today because Reddit is really pulling us down. They're down 6 2/3%.
It went up yesterday. I think they got some traction, along with the other silliness, GameStop and BlackBerry and Z and FFIE or whatever.
Yeah, and honestly, from where we've been, Reddit only being down 13.5% is a great spot. Chicken Super, the sole entertainment, is king of our positions, up 11 2 weeks. We're crushing it. Yeah, and Eagle Pharmaceuticals down today 0.75%, but up 8% over time. And Novo Nordisk killing it. So 3 positions absolutely crushing it, and Reddit not doing so great. If we compare that to the same investment in the S&P at the same intervals, we'd be up 3.2%. So we're only trailing the S&P by about 0.5%, which compared to our history
we're coming for you, S&P. We're coming for you.
We are absolutely coming for S&P.
Eagle Pharmaceuticals, I know why they've had a little bit of an uptick. I was looking at them because I decided to do a descending sort in order of what my total percentage loss, the max was. So it's not Spirit Airlines. It's number 2 for $1 loss, but
no doubt, huh?
Yeah, Eagle Pharmaceuticals, I'm down 94.42%. That's my number 1 horse, followed by 3 different companies that do 3D printing at 92%, 89.88%, and 89.23% respectively. Then Save. Then we've got Spirit Airlines, 75% down. But Eagle Pharmaceuticals, they're entering phase 3 of the FDA trials for a new medication or treatment for anti-nausea stuff.
I thought you were going to say they're up because they managed to file their SEC filings finally.
I mean, yeah. Well, who's to say about that?
You mentioned Spirit Airlines as one of your huge losers. Spirit Airlines having a bad day today, real bad, down 9%. But they're in the 4s now. I mean, they touched $5 the other day, and it's a sad state of affairs that we're excited about $4 and $5 on our $14 and $15 investments. But
did you invest any more when we were at $3.50 or whatever?
No, because I got nervous, and then
me too.
And then it plummeted further. I did look at that Spirit Airlines lawsuit. I went to the website, and you read this thing, investigation details. They issued this press release. They reported these operating revenues down and drop in fair revenue percent, a drop, and the stock price dropped over 11% after the earnings release, which we knew.
Right.
Why you're then suing them, I don't know.
Right. And there's not that much information. I got nervous about it. I got it from Experian, so I feel like that's a fairly reputable site. I don't know. Anytime I've been a part of a class action lawsuit or whatever, they usually have a lot of information. More than that.
Yeah, I seem to routinely get them that, like, Kayak. I'm in a class action lawsuit against Kayak, which I don't care about any of them because I feel like if you win, you're going to get like $11 or something. Right. And
I got like $100 from the IKEA one, which I was amazed.
Ooh. Well, there's certainly nothing here. I was tempted to say we should submit this and have these lawyers come on our podcast, but
let's do it. I guess you don't have to verify this, right?
Well, yours will be like you lost $12. I mean,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're just trying to figure out how many people would be interested in this, right? That's what I think is happening.
I guess so.
Because like they're not to a place where like it's settled or anything like that. They're just
nowhere close. No, this is months and years away. Like, this just happened. It was May 6th, 9 days ago. No, they're not anywhere close to resolving this lawsuit.
Right. No, I just mean that's when I've gotten involved in most of the ones that reach out to me because they're like, oh, you bought shit at IKEA, so send this form back in and you'll get a part of this established settlement of $5 billion or whatever.
I feel like I just get them. I don't fill out any forms or anything, but anyway.
Yeah.
I also saw this news article on Spirit where the CEO slammed the government for stopping the transaction and basically being like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Less than 8% of the market.
Right. I thought that there was something that I saw they were trying to sue the government or something again.
That would be great. Yeah. And maybe why it surged the other day. All the airlines are suing the government over their pricing stuff.
Well, right.
So,
right.
Over the fees, nonsense, and whatever. So, it looks like the rally's over.
Right.
Let's come back to earth. But that FFIE, man, that thing is cranking today. Today was the day to be in that
I don't know why my purchase didn't go through.
If it did, you would have doubled your money, up 110% and counting. Boom.
Yeah, because I was buying it at 33 cents.
It's up almost 20 times. You would have taken your dollars and had 20 times as many dollars if you'd have bought them like 3 days ago.
But if you go back further in the chart, if you go to like 5 years or something, they used to do okay.
Wow, $2,000 a share down to 60 cents.
This seems like something I would have bought back then.
And scraping bottom of the barrel.
Now, too late. Now that it's 50 cents a share.
I think that just shows you how much room there is to run. This 50 cents can turn into $2,000. That's a 4,000 bagger. You could have 4,000 times your money. This was something I was excited to share with you, which is the clips that our AI platform. This thing called Opus Clips. So you feed in the video from your podcast, and it creates little 30 to 90 second clips, and that's what I've been posting to TikTok and Facebook. But what is so great about this is it creates headlines and synopses, but I can tell you it is absolutely not designed for knuckleheads like us, trying to be goofballs and being funny. So it's got these, the uranium boom, investing opportunities and trends, rise of uranium, exploring price trends. All right, investing tips.
I love that title. Chicken soup and feelsies.
For financial success. Okay, it gets better. Power of automation, big deal. Uranium. So, all right. Investing in chicken soup for the soul, the secret to outperforming the S&P.
Oh my God. We'll go viral with that.
Triple your profits, the magic number that could save your investments. All right, Crackle's still relevant in 2021. I don't know why I picked 2021. They all seem to really struggle with numbers and dates. I don't know why. Exploring the evolution of true crime stories. Hang on, these get better. Mountain Dew, the ultimate guide to the best flavors. How to know when to sell stocks. Warren Buffett's strategy revealed. You
heard it here first, folks. We have the inside scoop on Warren's strategies.
And what you find is his strategy is to sell stocks to actually exit positions, which is the big differentiator between him and Kalyn. All right, how red boxes make it a comeback, transparent plans, and SEC reporting.
Man, they do make it sound like we've got our ear to the ground on some of this stuff.
Join me for an Antiques Roadshow Marathon Challenge.
It starts an intriguing statement about a gift and the speaker being a cuckoo ant, which is actually
Yeah. The ultimate gift, an axe throwing kitten, mango. I can't even read them. Scratcher's craze, how I doubled my money. This is my favorite.
This future streaming platforms, Judge Judy fans left disappointed.
Why podcast platforms keep recommending podcast people hate.
I love these. How to achieve a fulfilling life and work balance. I hope it's my advice here. Chicken soup for the soul stock, from sucking to soaring in 9 months.
The Antiques Roadshow is still worth watching, unveiling actuals and treasures. But by far the best of all of those is the future of streaming platforms. Judge Judy fans left disappointment. That is absolutely amazing. And then my second favorite was investing in chicken soup for the soul, the secret to outperforming the S&P. Folks, I want to go on record as saying the secret to beating the S&P is not investing in chicken soup for the soul.
Because if we were only investing in chicken food for the soul right now, I think we would be beating the S&P, right? We would be 15% or something insted of the.
We would be crushing the S&P. Yes. So in the short run,
maybe this AI really knows what's what.
I can't even make it through reading those headlines without just dying laughing.
Really funny.
So.
An Antiques Roadshow challenge.
Did you go back and start your Antiques Roadshow marathon?
I picked up where I was, which was in season 43, so I'll have to find my way back to season 1. Sometimes it's just too boring though. It's like nice and cozy sometimes when I want to just watch something that I'm like, oh, tell me about your old ashtray or whatever. These cow figurines that you've got. Then after a while, I'm like, man, none of this shit's worth anything.
Even if that guy says so, it's not actually worth any money.
Right. They're like, at a good auction with the right buyer. And I'm like, yeah, with the right buyer, my old iPhone 4 would sell for $1 million.
And you, sir, are not going to go to the antiques dealer in Topeka, Kansas, and find the right buyer at the right auction at that moment. So,
right.
You know.
Yeah. And then everybody's like, well, it's not for sale anyways. Like, okay, here, keep your doily collection from your grandma. Like, it's worth $3,000. Well, it's not for sale. So this is staying in the family forever.
The Antiques Roadshow is a lesson in paper profits. That's a fact.
Yeah. I think the most valuable item I've seen on there was either a Rolex or some other kind of very fancy watch, but it was specifically made during World War II for pilots, and it had never been taken out of the box, so it had all of the stuff, and there were only 30 ever made, and they were like, this is easily worth $50,000. I think we could probably sell it for $150,000. I was like, geez, that's a range.
Well, that's probably an accurate range, because that's like Topeka, Kansas antiques dealer all the way to the best buyer at the best auction.
Right. But it's a Rolex, so it probably does have a decent market versus, grandma's doilies or whatever.
You can feel them coming when you're like, never been opened. Oh, we have a story behind it. Right. Now, the most expensive thing I ever saw on that show was a Revolutionary War era blanket that a young girl had knit, and it came with the letter that she wrote about knitting this, and you're like, okay, this is like guaranteed. So that ended up being like $250,000.
Wow. There was one that I saw somebody had, it was like a cigarette case or something, like it was a little box that you would carry, and they were like, I just stick random shit in there and throw it in my bag, and they were like, so do you see this emblem? That's Fabergé. This was made by Fabergé. And they're like, oh, damn. They're like, yeah, this is a ruby? This little push pin that you're just like throwing in your bag. I'm like, man, one of these days at Goodwill, I'll find the Fabergé box.
And those experts, they spotted that from across the room. They're like, Dad, bring the egg over here. We got to talk about this one.
Yeah.
But that show would be made much more exciting if they made you an offer on the spot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I'll give you $25,000 right now for your doilies.
I have seen one time that a guy did make an offer because it just happened to be one of the dealers or whatever. The thing that he likes to collect the most, and this was like a really great one. He was like, "I will pay you money right now," and they were like, "It's staying in the family forever." And
and he's like, "Well, of course it is. I don't blame you. We could write a letter to Antiques Roadshow and make that recommendation.
Be like, I think you need to be in Cleveland Heights." Because we've got some little brass bells of ladies,
Yeah.
And buckles.
These are worth somewhere between 25 cents and $6.
At auction, we could get you, anywhere from $6 to $7,000, depending on the right buyer.
We call these buyers morons, wealthy morons. That's how you really focus on the rate.
Yeah.
I think we got some antiques behind you, by the way.
I'm sure we do. This was the rocking chair room for some time. At one point, there were like 6 rocking chairs in here. I was like, what's going on in this room? I mean, it does have a lot of chairs. So we got one chair here.
Yeah.
There's another chair. Here's another chair. Then there's that chair, and that chair, and that chair. So it's like you want to have an audience for like
sleeping.
Yeah, I was thinking of an episode I watched of The Tudors where when the King of Portugal gets married, they need an audience for make sure the marriage is consummated. So people stand around and watch. Your room is all set up for that in case you find your princess from Portugal or something and got it.
What do you think that TV could fetch at auction?
Oh, I mean, easily 20 G's. Here's a comparison of how big it is compared to me. We also have the Super Nintendo.
Nice.
There's a PlayStation. I guess that's the original. DVD player, VHS. We're ready to go.
I haven't wanted to.
This box has not worked in like 10 years, but we keep it because Mom's like, oh, I don't know where it's supposed to go. And I'm like, it's supposed to go in the trash or sent back to AT&T. I'm sure that they're charging you for it. Whatever. Anyway.
But the right buyer at the right auction for that.
Yeah, like $500,000. I don't know. It's hard to put a dollar on it, really.
It's sitting there because you'd have to pay somebody to remove that stuff. It's all heavy.
I moved this from the living room area over here because when I was staying here, I needed to set up a desk for work. And so the only place was against the wall. So I kept hitting my head. And so I needed to move the TV. And I was like, well, I'm moving it to Robert's room because who cares, right? Yeah. It's out of the way. But man, Mom was like, I noticed you moved the TV. I actually, at one point, I came over here and I took this trash can out of your room, right? This lovely trash can, okay? Because I had a shower curtain that it matched. When Mom and Dad were gone, I took the trash can. They came over the next week and they were like, where's the trash can? We want that back now. I'm like, what? First of all, how do you guys even know? Like, you're coming up here that often and like doing a quick, like, okay, we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chairs, check.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's funny.
Anyway. Yeah. Your room is still pretty much your room, though.
I tell people that Mom keeps my room the way if a child had died and you want it to be a shrine to the child.
Yeah.
But I am a little disturbed that she's moved a bunch of chairs in there and then you moved the TV in there and it's kind of breaks the shrine vibe. But
well, if you want a shrine, let's see what's in your drawers. Hey, there's Braveheart. Some ski patch you got. Oh, brother, how I know you've been wondering where your Braveheart CD.
Absolutely.
But it's here. No worries. We got it.
Okay. All right. Good. It's a load off my mind.
Here's your sock, your baseball glove. I don't want to dig too far because I don't know what's in there, but your socks are still ready to go. You can move back in at any point.
All right. So transition music. All right, from last time in our segment called What the Hell's in Kalyn's Portfolio, we revealed that ticker symbol TXMD was one of the items. And so I did my research on TXMD and I thought I would share that with you today.
Yeah.
Wait till you see this one.
Oh, yeah. I know it's doing great.
Well, first of all, let's see how it's doing. Down 1.2%, the spikiest chart there ever was. It was worth 4 something, almost 5 a year ago.
Right.
And 5 years ago, it was worth as much as $100+ all the way up to almost $200. So it's doing amazing. What do? Well, they focus on women's sexual health, it turns out. And so they make this one that helps make sex less painful. And
I'm vexy.
It sounds like I'm sexy, maybe.
Yeah, with an X. That's just a vitamin, isn't it? Oh, that's over-the-counter vitamin.
Oh, well, then you don't even have to go to your doctor. You can just go to your go to the CVS and get an I'm Vexy.
It's branded and generic prescription prenatal vitamins as well as over-the-counter vitamins under Bijuva.
Yeah, it reduces moderate to severe hot flashes while reducing risk to the lining of the uterus. So that's pretty cool. This one seems real interesting. Anovera. It's a procedure-free birth control ring. I think we have diagrams down here. Oh, see, it's all springy and bouncy. Yeah. It's kind of big, though. You got to shove that up your hoo-hoo, I guess, to make that happen.
I've run the gambit with different birth controls over the years. I had the ring at one point, and it's weird.
Oh. And it was from these guys? Was it Anovera?
It was Nuva ring. Is that what this is?
That must be a competitive one.
I did not care for that. But it was better than the patch, because the patch you get like a ring around, with like fuzz.
Yeah.
But then ultimately I was like, what do you guys do? You OB-GYNs. Female OB-GYNs, when they're deciding on the birth control method or that they're going to take,
it's IUD.
Because it's like super effective. It also like leave it in for years. So it's got the hormones and whatever. Or you don't have to have the hormones if you want to like not do that. Just have the little copper T that's like, follow your dreams, just spins around and is like, get out of here.
Gotcha. Well, so I wanted to go to Therapeutics MD and dive a level deeper. So I went to their 10Q, their quarterly reports. Wait till you get a load of this.
I can't wait.
All right. And it says, Therapeutics MD was previously a women's healthcare company with a mission of creating and commercializing innovative products to support the lifespan of women for free. On December 2022, we changed our business to become a pharmaceutical royalty company, currently receiving royalties on products licensed to pharmaceutical organizations that possess commercial capabilities in the relevant territory. Okay.
We used to care about women's health. Now we care about royalties.
Yeah, and we sell the royalties, exactly. So they created these royalty agreements with these other companies, basically, different geographies and different ones for their main drugs. And then in connection with our transformation, we terminated our executive management team, except for Marlon Walker, our former general counselor, and all other employees in December 31st, 2022.
Oh, wow.
As of December 31st, 2023 and March 31st, 2024, we employed one full-time employee primarily engaged in an executive position.
It's funny they say primarily engaged in an executive position. I didn't think that they were just the janitor, you know. Like,
this dude,
well, here's our secretary. She's still employed. She doesn't have anything to do, but we're like,
no, this dude has to do it all. He's got to be the CEO, but he also has to go get his own mail and empty the trash cans. I mean,
yeah,
like,
look out. And since he's a general counsel, he's got to do law stuff.
His main job is watching these royalties roll in, I think. Our favorite section from Chicken Soup from the Soul Entertainment is going concern. They say, we may need to raise additional capital to provide additional liquidity to fund our operations until we become cash flow positive. If we're not successful in obtaining additional financing, we could be forced to discontinue or curtail our business operations, sell at unfavorable prices, merge, consolidate, yada, yada.
Uh-huh.
In February 2024, the company received Maine's Pharma calculation of an allowance. Maine Pharma is who they sell this royalty to. Mm-hmm. Calculation of allowance for payer rebates and wholesale distributors. And we don't agree, and so we are looking to resolve this through the dispute resolution process. Mm-hmm. So Therapeutics MD is basically, they're one guy in and they're collecting revenues. This is in thousands. So in this last quarter, they had revenues of $313,000. So they're on pace to like $1.3 million or something for the year of revenue. So this is a publicly listed company with one employee, $1.3 million of revenue, maybe.
Yeah.
This past quarter, they had $1.3 million of SG&A, which I can't quite figure out because, I mean, they're just paying one dude and maybe some rent or something.
Well, it is down pretty substantially. I guess that's what happens when you let go of all of your employees.
Yeah, I guess we're unloaded. I could find no additional detail why SG&A was $1.3 million for the quarter. What do you pay one dude? You know,
apparently 1.3 million.
Even if he's crushing it and make $1 million a year, you should only pay him like $250 a quarter and still be making some profit here.
Right. I guess that's the problem with having a lawyer and not a business person be in charge of this stuff. Just sucking the company dry.
he's running the meter on his billable hours.
Right, exactly. He's just
like, what's 1.3 million of how many hours in a quarter? There's like 40 hours a week, 13 weeks, 520 hours. So he's charging $2,500 an hour. That's what's going on here.
I mean,
that's
he might
a
be
hell of a rate
working
even for a lawyer.
Could be working some long hours, you know, like 80-hour weeks, poring over these disputes they've got with these coupons or rebates or whatever. Could be like up all night. Who knows how many hours he's putting in.
Yeah, this guy. I mean, he's the only guy.
Yeah.
Plus, he's got to empty the trash. I mean, what do lawyers charge in freaking Boca Raton, Florida? They lost $750,000 for the quarter, down from losing $3.6 million a quarter a year ago. So they're losing 7 cents a share instead of 24 cents a share. Anyway, now you see why Robinhood was giving away this stock, basically. Yeah.
I just hope that the next SEC document that you find for the next company is just as delicious as the past couple. I mean, it's so fun finding ones that were like, we're not a viable. Who knows? We could go under at any moment. And this one being like, we just fired everybody. And like, just me trying to see if I can keep this ship afloat.
It's me in a mailbox.
Yeah,
a mailbox for royalty checks.
Right. And me like, no, I will not pay this rebate. You know? like I will take this company down with me.
This is the life of a therapeutics MDC.
Yeah. Get your JD and somehow become the main counsel. Then I don't know how you managed to fire all your executives and you're like, okay, and I guess I'm in charge now. Like, CEO, you're fired. I'll take over. Like,
the lawyer, the general counsel became the CEO. Fired all the rest.
I guess they had a board of directors or something. Maybe it was just this general counsel who was like the board of directors. And he's like, this company's looking a little fat. We need to trim down all of you.
Now what should we pay our lawyer? I'm thinking $2,500 an hour.
Yes. Sadly, we're going to be at a loss this quarter because I had to pay myself $700,000 to make sure these royalties are still coming in. Bastards over at that Mayor Pharmaceuticals don't try to pull one over on me with their rebates and shit.
Our board of directors reviewed our contracts with our lawyer for fairness, and we have determined it's totally fair.
I reviewed it with me. Me and me got together with my dog, and I was like, this seems fair. Okay.
This is how you turn a $200 stock into $2. It's incredible. But yes, what a streak we've had of these just weird stocks that are just on the precipice. And
I know. I want to find some more. I guess I could see what else they've given me for free.
That's in the what the hell is in Kalyn's portfolio segment.
Catalyst Pharmaceuticals, they gave me that. And that one's done okay. That's up to $16. So that doesn't sound very fun.
Catalyst Pharmaceuticals, you are no fun.
Yeah, you're no fun.
You're on notice. We're going to write you a letter how little fun you are. Or we could come in and teach you how to run a business. First of all, sell all your patents for royalties. Fire everybody.
Step 1, fire everyone. Get everybody out of there. I don't need any kind of oversight on what hours I'm charging. My billable hours are my business. All right?
I did my homework, and you remember the uranium program where the Russian missiles were changed? Right. The name of that program was Megatons to Megawatts. Huh? That's your government at work, baby. Coming up with amazing
Megatons to Megawatts.
That's the best government theme since like Click It or Ticket.
That's commercial for it. Everybody's gonna understand this. Here's an egg. Then you crack it in the pan. Yeah? This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. I'm like, I still don't get it. You're in a frying pan, like you're cooking meat.
Marketing firm came up with Megatons to Megawatts. Yep, sure enough. Yes. Now that program ended in 2013, but it was a 10-year program that somehow ran from 1993 to 2013. So maybe they extended it another 10 years.
There was one video that was really a good visualization. When you get into big numbers, it gets really hard to imagine thinking back in seconds. First one is like 1,000, I guess, right? 1,000 seconds ago. Let me see.
That's not that long. That's like maybe a half hour, something like that. No, that's 60 seconds in a minute. This segment's called Robert and Kalyn Do Math. Here's our transition music. This segment's called Robert and Kalyn Do Math. Today's episode is all about converting seconds into other lengths of time, kids. All right.
So 1,000,000 seconds ago, right? That's 12 days ago. So in my same apartment, blah, 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 blah. 1 billion seconds ago, that's just over 30 years. Wow. I don't know. When I think about how much money a billionaire has versus a millionaire, and I'm I'm a trillionaire now, so... Yeah.
Thousandaire. Barely.
So then like 1 trillion is like the dinosaurs were around, like 31,000 years ago in 1 trillion seconds.
Amazing.
Yeah. And there's people who have $1 trillion. I love the ones where it talks about how much space it would take up. Like, it's like you can put multiple millions of dollars in a box spring of a mattress, I've seen a picture of somebody who was not trusting in banks at all, and they died, and they found $12 million in their mattress. I'm like, jeez, what if there was a fire? God. It's all cash, just cash money. But $1 trillion, I think that gets you to the moon if you were to stack it on top of itself. So
I can't wait to hear what Opus Clips names this segment. I have been watching things like hints for podcasters and stuff, and one thing they said that you should do is mention other podcasts, because then you'll be listed in when they watch that podcast, they will.
Yeah, Joe Rogan. Sure,
the one I wanted to mention was the Serial podcast that you introduced me to by This American Life, NPR, now somehow owned by the New York Times company. So I just crammed 6 podcast names into one description. But first of all, I listened to the whole podcast because it was pretty good. And then once you're to like episode 7, they hook you in. You got to listen to 3 in a row. And then by the time you're to 7, you're like, well, I got to finish the job, right?
Yeah.
You remember the guy locked in the storage room / holding pen for 3 or 5 days or whatever and sued? First off, he won that suit and got awarded $50 million that I evidently will probably never see because the town's bankrupt. But that was East Cleveland, which I don't know if you remember, but that's where you stopped for gas. So I was thinking maybe we should rewind the clock and you should tell your East Cleveland gas story to the makers here of Serial Podcast by This American Life, part of NPR and somehow also part of New York Times.
Right. So Ira Glass, if you're listening, is my story. So I'm a bit of a night owl, and so I wanted to go out to get scratchers, I think it was. So it wasn't super late, but it was 11 o'clock or midnight, something like that, past my brother and sister-in-law's bedtime. So I noticed that the vehicle was getting low on gas, and so I was like, wow, I'm still wide awake. Let's see where we can find the cheapest gas. And there was one that was fairly close to your house. Like, it wasn't too far out of the way. So I roll up to this building that has clearly a crackhead right outside the door. And then 2 cars were there, and I was going to just pay with a card at the pump, but they don't accept cards at the pump, so I had to go inside. And as I walked in, the crackhead opened the door for me, but someone followed immediately behind me. This 6-foot-tall African-American guy looked very hip-hop style. So I go up to the cashier, and I was like, can I get $40 of gas on pump 3? The guy's like, don't say $40. Don't do that. Like, don't mention having $40 in here again. Like, I was like, oh, okay. It's just us in here, you and me. But I won't say it again. I won't say $40 again. And so I go out and a guy who was at another pump, an older gentleman, was like, I'll pump your gas for you. And I was like, oh, I'm good. Thank you. Because I figured he was just going to come and want money. But I put the gas thing in and I just sat in the car because it's going to turn itself off anyways. And feeling a little nervous. I was trying in the Telluride, nice car, but it's a million times better than the other cars there, which are like an 83 Pinto with 7 different paint colors and whatever. So I keep looking back to see if I'm getting close to the gas being out. But right before it is, the guy comes up and he already taken the thing out of the car. And I was like, oh, you didn't have to do that. I'm fine. He's like, you're on the wrong side of town, honey. Don't come here again. Like, I don't want you pumping your own gas. You shouldn't come here, though. I was like, noted. But I did get the cheap gas and made friends.
I mean, it's nice to have some guardian angels out there and to find out that guy wasn't just trying to get money from you, but had your personal safety in mind.
I mean, and I think that both of them did, honestly. I feel like the guy in the store was like, don't say $40 around this crackhead. Like, he's going to rob you or whatever. And then the guy outside also just didn't want me to have to stand outside, which is really nice. Yeah. Like, it is reminiscent to me of when I was working as a counselor. I was working with Hurricane Katrina survivors. So they were on FEMA benefits at the time. And so these apartment complexes that I would go to provide counseling were in just the worst parts of town. And I was just 24 or something at the time. And I was like, man, this is not very safe. And actually mentioned it to one of my clients, and they were like, oh no, nobody's going to mess with you because they know what you're up to. Like, you're clearly, counselor, social worker type. You're not here looking for drugs or trying to make a mess with the people of the neighborhood. So I feel like it was something similar to that. Like when I rolled up and walked in, I just seemed, I guess, innocent enough. I was clearly not trying to turn tricks.
So that was East Cleveland. That's that super poor, corrupt as hell, in the Serial podcast.
East Cleveland or you'll die.
Oh, yeah, in that theme song. I forgot about that. Well, first of all, so Tyler's podcast is Robert and Kalyn Get Rich. And when you hear stories like that, you realize you already are rich on many dimensions.
Yeah.
And my reaction is two things. Can you imagine living in an environment where you cannot mention that you have $40 on your person for risk of your personal safety? And can you imagine running a gas station where, what do you think the average person pays at this gas station? Less than $10? I mean,
that gas station attendant, first of all, being a gas station attendant anywhere is super dangerous. Like, it's one of the, like, very common for there to be people holding up gas stations and stuff. But particularly this place, open all night, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
You know, they're not even trying to do anything about the crackhead outside the front door. Like, we're not trying to get rid of this guy. Yeah, he's fine. He opens the door for people. That's his job until he gets crack, and then he goes and does that. So U of H in Houston is like in the 3rd Ward, which has historic parts that are nice, but overall, it certainly then was one of the worst areas of town. And I had similar interactions with gas station attendant type folks then where they're like, yeah, don't get that out. You need to not come here. I was the only female there, but I'm sure that that's not always the case. And I just wonder what the dynamic is like for the females that don't read Innocent and Rich White Girl or whatever. Because that crackhead guy didn't even talk to me, which I was amazed. But I think it was the guy behind me put the kibosh on that.
Of course, the whole time you were behind, you were on the other side of a big plexiglass.
Oh, yeah. Like, there's like no way. Yeah. They don't
I drive through the
rough at all. It's like a circle thing. They like you turn to like you put your money in and then he turns it and then I was trying to figure out how to use the credit card. I was like, forget it. I'll just pay cash.
So I drive through the rough part of town here and you look through the window. So the Popeyes is behind plexiglass. The bank is behind plexiglass. The gas station, obviously. I'm like, what is it like to live your whole life on the other side? Everywhere you go, it's like there's a plexiglass and it's like, we do not trust you.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Well, more and more Walmarts I see, they have like more like stuff in case, of course, the electronics or whatever, but that's true all the time. I feel like if I go to Saks, even though they may have a vase or whatever in the home section that's worth $50,000, wouldn't be that weird. It may be in a glass case, but it's not going to be sea glass with a lock that somebody's like, oh, I got to call Cindy to get the keys. At Walmart, I can't even go get spray paint or whatever for my art projects without having to wait half an hour for somebody to find the keys to unlock it. I'm like, it's $5. I get that people steal this, but like, you know, I listened to a podcast about some girl who was a shoplifter.
What was the name of that podcast again?
Sorry.
I'm kidding. Just make one up. My favorite podcast is The Compound and Friends. I love that podcast. All the Bloomberg podcasts are amazing, too, I have to say.
It's got a good name, though. It's called, like, Sex, Taxes, and Death or something like that. It's not one of my regulars. I don't even know how I got this one about shoplifting. But this girl was, by the sounds of her, she was not so different from myself at this point. Like, she was Caucasian, getting to be in the middle age. She had 2 kids, and she's like, you know, the podcaster was like, stealing's wrong, period. And she's like, I think it's less ethical to have children going hungry. So if I need to steal to make that work in the budget so that my kids can feel full at night before they go to bed, then so it is. And I can just imagine that being at least the rationale for plenty of people. And then a bunch of crazy kids trying to get, you know, dopamine kicks and prove their chops or whatever.
Yeah. Plus drug addicts, plus people that have been, you know, effed over by the system so long they don't care anymore, and if they're going to take it out on Popeye's chicken if they have to, you know, whatever. Yeah. I mean, I sort of get it too.
Yeah, the cashier though, I can't imagine being that person working in a place where there is so much threat to me at any given moment that I cannot have physical touch contact with any customer that comes in here.
So this is my Walmart behind the glass story for this podcast. So I'm on Wi-Fi right now. But I was like, I want to make sure I have a stronger signal. So I want to run an Ethernet cable straight to the modem. So I go to Walmart, I buy the Ethernet cable, $6. It's behind glass.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you have to get checked out in the back?
Yeah, exactly. It takes me 2 trips because Walmart, it turns out, doesn't take Apple Pay. And I didn't have my wallet on me. So I had to go back and do it again. I buy the Ethernet cable. I come home and my laptop doesn't have an Ethernet port. And my old laptop didn't have an Ethernet port either. So I guess the only way, I don't know if there's an adapter I got to get, or the only way to connect to the internet on these things is Wi-Fi. So
I've always used a dock or something when I have plugged into.
Oh, a dock is a good point.
Yeah.
It's worked out fine so far, but I could easily see Wi-Fi going out or something and ruining a podcast, especially when we start getting these luminary interview guests on.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Totally.
Anyway.
When I had my DUI, I remember going to court at one point, and I was sitting right behind the, various lawyers on both sides. It's just a whole slew of lawyers because there's a ton of cases that are happening. And the fines and stuff are just devastating, though, to people. Like, one defense lawyer was trying to make a deal with the prosecutor, and she was like, come on, she's already spent 2 days in jail. And he was, okay, fine. She's like, you can't charge her that. She's going to have to turn like 3 tricks in order to be able to pay that. And,
oh, God.
Yeah. And I was like, man, so I guess my situation's kind of okay. Like, I mean.
I know you're assessing a $500 fine on the people who can't waive $40 at a gas station and have to get help to buy a $6 Ethernet cable,
Right, exactly. So. And people end up pleading guilty because they end up waiting so long in jail. Like, I don't know. That is devastating. If you were in a situation and you got arrested, let's say you got a DUI, and you couldn't get bail, you could sit in jail for 6 months.
Yep.
Like, my DUI, there were delays and stuff because my attorney was trying to, be smart. I was like, I think we could have gotten this deal on day one, but whatever. He had to earn my $7,500. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then court costs on top of that, and I had to have a breathalyzer for the whole time. I was out like $12,000 to $13,000 altogether for a DUI that I was very mildly intoxicated. There's something went wrong with the breathalyzer thing. Anyway, if I was in jail for 6 months, if I don't have family that can afford either bail or my rent, you lose your job, you lose all your stuff. It's just devastating. And so it's like, you'll take time served and get a guilty plea. But I've seen interviews with some people that they've had evidence that would clearly exonerate them, but they've already spent more time in jail than they would if they just pled guilty. So they're like, fuck it, let's just be done. Send me home. And you have a right, especially if it's a felony level. My thing is that I feel like our legal system we have the wrong things that are our motivators, right? We want to have convictions. I don't think that how many convictions you can close up should be how we measure if our DA is doing a good job. Same as I don't think we should have quotas for cops where it's like, okay, well, you've got to write 75 tickets. So go find somebody who's got low tread or just create this unnecessary traffic stop where we're just doing a mill situation. I feel like justice should be about truth, and so a DA should be very much motivated to find the correct person and not overcharge people. You remember when all those celebrities got in trouble because they sent their kids to schools with, So one of the things that they did with the aunt from Full House, so they arrested her and her husband, and they just stacked charges. So he was looking at potentially 15 years, but you just have to plea out to some of this stuff. Just get out from under it.
I think if you wrote a 1-sentence thesis of that serial podcast, the system is designed for efficiency above fairness to the defendants, and they'll pull out every stop that's necessary.
Right. Which I find really scary because people do get falsely accused of things. I have a friend in college who, the Duke lacrosse guys, right? That happened when I was in school. 3 of them accused of raping this girl. It's all over the media. I've heard that their parents ended up spending roughly $500,000 for everything. And ultimately it was for nothing. And that money's just gone. That's really scary to me. I've had other guy friends who situations have happened where there's throwing around some impropriety type stuff. The situation I'm thinking of is a friend. His friend's girlfriend was hanging out at his place, got really drunk. She got naked and was running around the house and then was embarrassed with her boyfriend. And so she said that my buddy raped her at first. This put my friend in a really bad situation. He happened to have been on the phone with his the boyfriend the whole time. So There was like, it was clearly just this girl trying to blow some shade away from herself. But I don't know. I just find it like so awful to hear about the Duke lacrosse guys. Those guys' lives were fucking ruined, you know? As a collegiate athlete, you're not going to become a professional lacrosse player. So this is it. This is you at your peak. And then it gets just knocked out from under you for nothing. And your parents have to shell out gobs of money for nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, and they're lucky enough to have parents with that money. And the same podcast, there's a guy who was held in jail for basically a year without a conviction because he didn't have any money and on this murder charge. And this is all example to your point because he doesn't have Duke lacrosse player parent money, basically.
Right.
So
and then it becomes really appealing for a guy like that, even if he was completely innocent, like it had nothing to do with it. If the DA, wanting to get their conviction rate up, comes to them and says, okay, why don't we just do simple assault? You know, you'll get 5 years. You've already served 2. Guys, like, I mean, my life's freaking over anyways at this point, you know?
I'll lose all my stuff from being in here for a year anyhow.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that happy news, here's... All right. All right, just kidding.
Yeah. Watch the O.J. Simpson 30 for 30. It's very long. It is an investment.
Oh, I got to watch that.
Well, I was in 7th grade when his murder case happened. It's 5 episodes. Each episode's 90 minutes, so it's a commitment. But episode 1 is about his sports stuff, and then we pretty quickly progress into that. That trial is crazy, as everyone knows. And they do a really interesting job talking about how the race implications worked out, because basically OJ, they quoted him once saying, "I'm not black, I'm OJ." And he was in college sports when there were lots of civil rights things going on. And like a lot of the civil rights leaders were looking to black athletes to promote the cause. And he was like, "I don't want any part of that. It's not good for me." And worked pretty hard to position himself as like the whitest of black guys, you know? So then when his trial happens and there's this huge race issue that's brought up by both sides, it's interesting. They do a good.
You mentioned Duke. I was on a flight watching that 30 for 30 and only got to watch a little more than half or something. And I was dying to watch the rest on the flight home, and it wasn't available. And I have yet to watch the second half of the Duke lacrosse 30 for 30. Man. I've got to watch this thing.
Yeah. Girl. So I just found out that 30 for 30 came out a while back. So she is now in prison for murder because she murdered her husband, boyfriend, whatever, when he was drunk. And I think that she had already been accused of attempted murder with her prior boyfriend, but he was like, everybody deserves another chance. And then she ends up killing him. I'm like, this girl is just like, ugh.
A winner all the way around.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we should shift gears. We got 2 orders of business. One is we got to do our segment, What the Hell is in Kalyn's portfolio? You mentioned that one pharmaceutical company that's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound like any fun at all.
I actually had one that I thought would be interesting. WBD. This relates to our prior conversations. So this is Warner Brothers Discovery Inc. I saw their news bit. So they're talking about offering Discovery free with Hulu or whatever, packaging that up for Comcast users. So the bundling of the various streaming sites is upon us. And so I thought that's kind of interesting. They've done nothing for me. I'm down 75% on them.
Another gem.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe one of these times we got to look at the ones that you've like crushed, you know, that you're up 75% on.
My best is Netflix. My second best is Microsoft, which is up 1,100%.
Nice.
Apple's up 900%.
Wow.
May is up what is in May? MasterCard. MasterCard is up 529%. So
never mind. That's no fun at all.
When I was looking at them earlier, I was like, oh wow, I'm so glad that my percentages are just like all of them. 95 is the highest or whatever. Because you can't get to negative 200% where they're like, you owe us money now. Keep giving us money. We need you to pay us. You can only go to 100% down. Just down to 0.
Nice.
So, yeah. I was like, I'm having a blonde moment.
All right, Warner Brothers it is. We will take a look at what's going on with Warner Brothers as our homework assignment.
And Mountain Dew letter, of course.
Mountain Dew letter. You got. If you don't deliver that Mountain Dew letter next episode, you're fired.
I will. Yeah, you got it. That's fair. That's fair. You're going to take over. You're inspired by our illegal CEO from
Therapeutics MD.
That's right. TXMD. Who's like, you're all out of here. I'm doing this on my own.
Unfortunately, I don't have a royalty stream to collect just yet, so we've got to stay in partnership and keep making podcasts until the gravy train starts running here. That raises an interesting point, which is what position shall we add to the Get Rich portfolio? Should it be Therapeutics MD and the one cat in Boca Raton, or should we FFIE or something? Or
yeah, we could do FF. Yeah, that would be a good one.
There's no way this is purchasing at the top.
No way, yeah.
It's only up $230 today. Golly, I wish I was in that thing.
Yes. How much is it?
It's up 230%. It's currently cost 94 cents.
Wow, gosh. Yeah.
And it is running.
Because it's so cheap on here. I don't know. I'm still, like you with figuring out your apps, I'm figuring out my apps too. So I had to put my max price or something. I had to do a limit versus market.
Yeah, and you can't do a limit. Something that's running like this, you can't put in a limit order.
So I put it up when I was looking at it. It was in the low 20s, right? And so I was like, 33 cents. That's where I want to call it a day, because this seems stupid and I don't know. So I put that in yesterday. It was roughly at the end of hours.
Damn.
So it just didn't go through.
Damn. Well, you would have turned that 33 cents into $1.
Yeah,
which would have been
I was going to buy 100 shares, which, for me, was kind of a lot.
Could have turned $33 into $100.
That's right. Like,
think how many scratchers you could have.
I know.
Investing in FFIE, we're like guaranteed to drag the portfolio down. Whereas
I agree.
Maybe Therapeutics MD, we have a fighting chance.
Yeah, let's do therapeutic. That sounds fun.
$1,000 worth
We're
of
going to be heavy on healthcare stuff in our portfolio.
I know. Well, that's what seems to keep ending up in your account.
Well, that and our whale, chicken soup for the soul.
Whale indeed. And I might have to go throw some fun money at FFIE. I mean,
it's so cheap. The penny stocks have appeal on that level. Which is why I never sell my cheap-ass stock. My shit that's gone to almost nothing.
Or any stock, for that matter.
Or any other stock. Yeah, that's true. I won't do it.
Yeah.
Don't even try to talk me into it.
And what a great day on Wall Street overall. I think it's because of the inflation report coming in really attractively. So,
or it's
which
because
is amazing.
The Roaring Kitty has posted some, weird videos for everyone to interpret.
These headlines are so funny because it's like inflation was only 3.1% and they expected 3.2%. Whoa! It's like, okay, stock market's going up today, baby. Better put your money in right now. Buy your futures.
It's a nice change of pace. I bet it feels better than I'm going to buy, and then the stock market's like, woo!
That's when you get stock advice from your 9th grader, you get what you deserve. But anyway.
Well, I mean, pretty much that's what Reddit is also. It's getting stock advice from a 9th grader.
More or less. 9th graders,
That may be generous. I don't know. Some of the posts are crazy, though. They're like, I'm putting in $250,000 on GameStop right now. Hold forever, guys. I'm like, really? Like, they'll show pictures of their portfolio, which I'm sure could easily be doctored, but also maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, some of these knuckleheads probably have some of this money. All right. We ready to wrap this thing up?
Yeah.
Oops, this is not the music I wanted to play. Wait. Oh, you know it is? All right. Cut that part. Start now.
All right. So, check you
Folks, thank you so much for listening to Robert and Kalyn Get Rich. Please subscribe, rate, tell all your friends in Rwanda about us. Love Nuts, #1. We love you. Our #1 fan. Whatever you do not invest in anything that we mentioned. It is not investing advice whatsoever. But please rate and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Fading this music out over time, but here comes the hard stop.